Hey, what's up, my YouTube peoples? No prizes this week for guessing where I am. Unfortunately, it's Helsinki, Finland. It's sunny, it's quite quiet, calm, chilled out. Come on and join me as I check out the city. So, as you're putting things together, you can see I'm arriving in Helsinki by boat, which, as someone from an island like England, felt weirdly familiar and completely foreign at the same time. You grow up in England and you think you know what it means to cross water to reach somewhere, but this isn't Dover to Calais. This was calm, cold, clean, sunny. Even the seagulls looks better fed. The ferry from Tallinn took about 2 hours. I had a coffee. There was some soft music being played. Well, I'd say soft. It was like a karaoke, Finnish karaoke or something. To my shock, there was even some gambling section where you could play the fruities and obviously drink alcohol. It felt like I was on a cruise. I even went out on the deck to get some fresh air. It's pretty breezy out there. But as we approach Helsinki, the city kind of reveals itself in layers. You don't get a dramatic skyline, no skyscrapers, just low, quiet buildings, a scattering of spires, and a lot of space. It doesn't rush to meet you. And once you're off the boat and walking, that's when it clicks. The pace of the city is slow, not sleepy, just very casual. Doesn't feel like a capital, in a good way. So Helsinki, it's, to me, unusually calm. You don't feel like you're being pulled along by the crowd like you are in London, for example. You set your own speed. It actually reminded me of Cambridge in that way. A city with a centre, but no pressure. You can walk at your own pace. No one's stepping on your heels. No one's trying to sell you anything, which is nice. And it just lets you get on with it. The weather helped. We had blue skies, a few clouds at times, a little breeze as I was walking along the coastline. One of those days where you feel like you caught a city on its best behaviour. So, I started walking. No real plan again. There's a general theme to this, isn't there? No checklist. Just walking along the coast to see what I'd come across. The first bit from the port is quite quiet apart from the cars. You're not in the city yet, but it doesn't feel disconnected either. You've got the sea to one side, a few low industrial buildings on the other, and then these long, clean pavements that go on for ages. Everything's well kept, like someone came out early with a broom and a measuring tape. I passed a couple of little boats tied up, no yachts, not really fishing vessels, apart from one that was like a restaurant, just regular boats. For what? I'm not sure. Leisure, errands, escape. No one was on them, just floating, gently bobbing. Helsinki feels good at that. The gentle bobbing energy. There's a surprising amount of green, even this close to the water. You get patches of park, some trees, benches that face nothing in particular. It's not a dramatic coastline. There are no cliffs or crashing waves. It's the kind of coastline that minds its own business. Functional, clean, slightly too cold to be romantic. Further along, you start seeing people. Not many, a few walkers here and there, a couple of joggers, one person on a bike, going at what I can only describe as a legally cautious speed. No one's in a rush, no one's loud. The only noise is the occasional flap of a flag or a distant dog barking once and giving up. At some point, I noticed what looked like a little beach, proper sand, a few trees nearby, even a wooden changing hut. Not sure if it counts as a beach by southern standards, but it definitely qualifies up here. It was empty, obviously. I didn't go down to it. Just nice to know it exists. I kept going. More footpaths. More glimpses of the sea between buildings and trees. Occasionally you see a bridge or what looks like a little island in the distance. I didn't check the names, I was just walking. There's a sense here that the city was designed with walking in mind. The paths are wide. The signs are minimal. There are bins exactly where you need them, and benches exactly where you didn't realize you need them until you see them. Nothing flashy, just quiet confidence. And eventually, without really noticing it, you start slipping into the city centre. The buildings get closer together. You see a tram, a food stand, or loads, a few more people, but the vibe doesn't change that much really. It's still calm, still easy to follow, still letting you move through it without making a fuss. Now, I didn't really meet anyone whilst I was here. Didn't chat to a local, didn't get invited to a sauna, didn't have a mystical reindeer stew experience. But I've spent enough time wandering around to gather some impressions and a few borrowed assumptions. First of all, one, it's calm. Not quiet, like abandoned, just calm. Nothing's loud. No honking. No shouting. You feel like you're expected to behave, and therefore you do. Two, it's clean. The city is tidy. The bins aren't overflowing. And even the pavements look like someone scrubbed them down the night before. It's like the city's got pride without showing off. Three, it's low, as in the buildings. Helsinki doesn't do tall glass towers or weird skyscraper experiments, just neat, solid buildings, proper buildings, with some space between them and enough variation to make it feel lived in. Four, it's not in a rush to impress you. There's no landmark screaming for your attention. You just keep walking and the good stuff turns up gradually. A church here, a statue there, a surprisingly well-designed bench. Five, there's a bit of a cold romanticism to it. Not romantic in the rose petals sense, but in that sort of northern grey light introspective way. Like the city's read a lot of books and doesn't need to talk about it. Six, the weather felt like a fluke. I came in spring, April, springtime, blue skies, barely a cloud. From what I've heard, that's not standard, and there was a chill in the air. So I won't pretend I got the authentic Finnish experience. But I will say, when the sun's out, Helsinki is absolutely lovely. But if I'd have caught Helsinki on another day, when it was a bit cloudy, sun wasn't really out, I'd have been chilly in April. 7, you can walk through half the city and still feel like you've barely scratched the surface, which is a good thing. There's space, there's air. You don't feel boxed in. The city's not trying to crowd you. And that's about all I've got, to be honest. Purely based on walking, looking and guessing. But honestly, that's sometimes the best way to get to know a place. It tells you what it wants or doesn't want, and you see for yourself. Now, I wouldn't say Helsinki is a city full of surprises, not in the chaotic, what on earth is that sense. But you do get these little moments where something odd or unexpected pops up in an otherwise sensible walk in a quite strange way, I suppose, like the padlock bridge. I suppose it was kind of unexpected, not weird. I stumbled across it without meaning to. One of those classic European spots where couples declare eternal love by locking a bit of rusted metal to a railing, I guess. Though I didn't see any couples do it. And I obviously didn't bring my own padlock. And I also wasn't with anyone. So I just stood there, looked at it, kept walking, thought, yep, that's a lot of padlocks. Moved on, really. But romantic, I suppose. Then there's the red brick cathedral. I kind of wasn't waiting for that, with the green rooftops. Uspensky, something like that, cathedral. I didn't know the name of it at the time. I'm looking out now. I just remember turning a corner and seeing this beautiful, dramatic building sitting on a hill like it had nowhere else to be. A busy road running alongside it in the centre of town. Yeah, it's immense, really. It's the kind of place you don't expect, or I didn't expect to find, unless you're deliberately sightseeing, which I wasn't. I was just wandering, and there it was, looking regal, slightly smug, and very photogenic. So I obviously take a tour of the place, went inside, checked it out, lovely. And then, and it was one of the first things I saw, left quite a big impression on me. The statue of the peeing boy. The statue, let me say that again, of the peeing boy. A boy urinating. Yeah, I'm not making that up. Obviously, you got the video footage of it. It's there, near the port. It was at the beginning of my wonder. A little bronze boy, pants down, doing what he does best, I suppose. There's no plaque, no explanation. I was a bit confused. Wondering if it was a mirage or something. Just a casual public pee. I'd say it's a cultural moment, but mostly I just laughed and took a photo like everyone else, I suppose. And that's what Helsinki does well. It doesn't throw everything at you all at once. It just leaves things out there. Buildings, statues, little jokes. You wander around and stumble into them like you're part of some relaxed scavenger hunt where no one cares if you win. Towards the end of the walk, things slow down even more. Not because the route gets dull, but because the city gets softer. Less open space, more trees, more texture. You find these little details you didn't know you were looking for. Actually, another reason was I was getting hungry. So I popped into a local supermarket. But anyway, I digress. Like the park, I didn't know what it was called. I still don't, to be honest. But it had this long central walkway full of stones, with neat red benches on either side. Behind the benches, these well-kept hedges, low, tidy, confident in a way. The whole thing looked like it had been arranged by someone who really likes order. I liked it, but also knows how to make it beautiful. And then in the middle of the park, there's a statue of a man just standing there, and on his head a bird. Not a sculpted one, a real one. No, joking. Just calmly perched, looking completely at home. The statue also had bird poo all over the top, which sort of, I suppose, ruined the nobility of it, but it also made it feel honest, very honest. That combination of proud and mildly ridiculous, kind of like every city monument, really. And behind him, behind that statue, right behind his back, I found a musician playing in the open, a busker, we would say. Just one guy, guitar case, playing a variety of stuff, doing a lot of improv, just jamming. He was just jamming. The sun was getting lower and lower as I sat there, kind of in bliss, enjoying the moment, taking it all in, really, whilst obviously chilling out to the music and eating what I'd bought in the supermarket. I'd been walking for a while, so sitting down felt natural. It wasn't really warm, but it didn't matter. It was that kind of end of day contentment you don't plan for. Just a nice bench, loads of people about, some good music, sun in your face, in the sense that you've seen enough for today. You've seen enough one day. So my final thoughts: Helsinki doesn't shout about itself. It doesn't throw neon lights at you like other places or crowd you with big slogans. It's not trying to be a destination. It just is what it is. Neat, quiet, slightly cold, quietly confident, I suppose, in a way. It's the kind of place you appreciate more in hindsight, or probably as a citizen. You don't leave raving about one particular moment. I wouldn't say it's such a tourist haven. You just leave feeling like the day was balanced, no drama, no chaos, unless maybe the nightlife is a stark contrast. But the city works, and that's kind of rare in a way, I suppose, in Europe. I've been to lots of places, and maybe in that kind of way it's kind of Scandinavian, possibly, just with a bit less fun, in the nicest way possible. The light definitely helped. I came in spring, blue skies, calm air, just cold enough to remind you where you are. I know that's not always the case, but for a brief visit, it felt like it was perfectly timed. Would I come back? Probably. Would I live here? Like, it would be a nice option if I could bring the sunlight with me, and if it were 10 degrees warmer. But even on a short walk, Helsinki gave off the sense that it's a city designed for living, not performing. And that's what I really liked about it. You don't have to do much here. Just walk about, and that's enough. And there we have it. That was Helsinki, Finland. We were lucky with the weather today. Hope you enjoyed the tour of the city, got a chance to practice your English listening, whilst also getting pleasant visuals. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one, wherever that might be.
Had to find a way back to the place I was before. Relax to the night and we are open to the sea. We can check out when you like.